Thank you, Chinmay. That was quite entertaining and insightful. Could we have a big round of applause, please? Can we have another? Okay, so we have the next speaker here, Imtaj Khan. I would like to invite you here. He is the CEO of Western Institute of Technology, offering building and construction courses to domestic and international students. He's also the councillor at Windham City Council since 2012. He's quite heavily involved with a lot of community work, and I would like him to say a few words. And there can be more than a few. I'm sorry, that's fine. Chinmay just told me to improve on that.
Thank you, Shanago. Look, I'd just like to say, it's good to see you, a lot of people here and coming with something. And I didn't know that before I came here. I thought maybe it's going to be networking, and it's very good to see that, But I don't have the good political speeches for you, but I'd like to share a few things. And Chinmay have said a few things, how you have to actually understand what assets, what's liability, what is income. I think to be a businessman, whether you're running a small business or big business, and the way I have started my business was pretty with 2 people. Now I have about 70 plus and 3 states operations, and we turn out each year $10 million plus. So I like to say that, Business is not something you can learn from the book. I think great to buy the good books, tells what is definition of the liabilities, what is the definition of the assets, what is income, and all sorts of things. Or can I say the basic principle to be a successful businessman? Do you have a guts to take a risk and face a failure? So if you believe you can afford to be a failure, that's a good start to be going with business. Because business is insecure when it kicks in. It's not something you go 9 to 5 where you know that, Monday and Friday will be salary in your account. So it is important, whatever business you start, whether small business or big business, the all business start from one person or two person. What is important, what I've learned, I always focus on two things, ingoing and outgoing. So counting terminology, you can say income, revenue, lots of things you can define. The business is all about numbers game. The top CEOs, a lot of top CEOs, if they might be having some good plan and doing a planning, strategy planning, marketing, all those things, and looks on a balance sheet, is good on marketing plans, is excellent. As Chenmai said, red, white, and all sorts of things, and it looks like all multi-millionaire if we go through the path. But the reality is different. So the way I understood my success, I always focus on income. What is in? What is income in my pocket? And what is outgoing? So if I can control outgoing, I'm sure I would end up something in my pocket, which is turn out to be profit, and then of course pay taxes and all that. So it's very important to be a businessman to understand the numbers game. And a lot of businesses, CEOs will start a business and then keep doing businesses. You say, my business in 4 years, my business in 3 years, and I realize they're still struggling. And one more thing, you have to understand how you measure a success. The success only can be measured with the numbers. So if you believe in the first year, I have got profit of $1 million, the way I run my business next year, it's got to be $1 million plus. If it's going down, there has to be something wrong with my strategy, or I have not keep up with this expansion of my business, or losses have been occurred because I was not watching my expenses. So it's very, very important for any CEO or any CFO to understand you have to measure your success. Now, how do you measure your success? We all people have employed a lot of staff, marketing staff, the top genius from RMIT, from Melbourne Uni, say, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Well, I listen to the stories. And when I say something, I'm asking you maybe sell 10 sales in a week. Can you make it? I don't care. How are you going to do it? I want the numbers. And I monitor closely to make sure he produces the 10 sales in a week. If he didn't produce the numbers, a lot of people advise me, my operational staff, give him a time. It's not that easy. No, it takes a time to build it. I say no. He's out in 8 weeks because teaching him is costing me money. So maybe he's not the right person. Well, I don't have to waste my time. There's a number of strategies you can take. So I kicked out. I said, no, get another one. So it's very important you always have to actually, no matter what you do, and I'm sure sometimes, being a business person, you're working, you have to be ruthless. Because and one more thing, you cannot have emotions in your business. Because emotions and business are two different things. Business is a business. So therefore, sometimes a lot of people do make mistakes. They hire the family and the friends, and then give them wages and things like that, and the business never go anywhere. So I think I shared my, just the knowledge running my business. I think it's very important to measure a business in success, and success means dollars. If your dollar is going up, you can see my business going up. Sometimes it could be beyond your control. For example, we run a business based on government strategies, based on government regulation and policies, which is beyond your control because the government changed the funding model. So funding model change, you get $10 for this A job, and now you're getting $8 for the A job. So it's hard now to keep up with the same pace, but you can implement additional strategies And you have to do now, improve your sales. So I simply now finish. I think the money you can make, no matter what business you're in, the more you focus on your income, which is what is incoming in, and control the outgoings. And never ever make it over commitment. Because sometimes what happens, people go out and say, by the way, I've got a cash flow. And you know what, we're going to buy this car, we're going to buy this, and we're going to buy this. Well, you never know if the government policy changes, you need it. And Chinmay have mentioned about assets and all that. But one thing is more important for business, cash flow. How many people you know what is the definition of cash flow? The cash flow is very, very important. I'm sure accountants sitting here. If there's no cash flow, there's no business money. A business could be rich in assets, but poor in cash. If the cash flow runs out, business is going to go bankrupt. Or they have to sell the assets. So I treated cash flow as a blood in a body. If I don't have a blood in my body, I'm actually going to see the hospital. So it's important to see the cash flow. And cash flow, you might also need to have planning. You know, certain dollar you cannot go down. So you stop your ability to buy. Sometimes you don't have a cash flow, a lot of good deals comes. You cannot afford to buy. The banks will only give you a loan because you do not have a cash flow. So the cash flow is very, very important, and a lot of people, a lot of companies, and I don't think so there's any business who have not made mistakes. We all do make mistakes in some manner. I make few mistakes. When we realize the cash flow is important. So something you will go along the way in the journey, you will learn how important the two things, incoming, what comes in a pocket, what goes out, and cash flow. If you keep it of the three things, I'm sure other things will fall around. And there's a good accountant, let them do their job, they can give depreciations, all the advice, but I think you have to understand, you always maintain your cash flow, and always maintain low commitment, and then gradually, go slowly. And there's no success overnight. Those people who made good money, like Jim, started his 1982 business with $24. Somebody's coming here, do you think you can be successful like him? I'm sure you may be, but I think the time is essence. It takes a time, actually might say 5 to 8 years to have a good business. I think someone can achieve it faster depending what kind of business you're in, but definitely it takes more than what you think. So the commitment is important, and somebody told me, my good friend, to ask yourself every day how much you spend the time for business out of 100%. So if you think you're spending 100% time in your business, the result will be 100%. If you think 20%, the return going to expecting 20%. So it's important to you spend more than 100%, so you can actually think there will be a positive result because you're spending and you're paying attention to your business. Well, with the words now, I think startup businesses. Now the government wants to say startup businesses, and Jim's trade business was having chat with him. And I'm glad that, you know, there are many Australian businesses, and Jim's one of them, who actually give opportunity to people to start. And a franchising model, I think not a bad model for those people who want to learn the game. And business is something we're all proud because it does create jobs. I know it does create insecurity when it kicks in, but then once you pay attention and you have right advice with good accountants, I think there's a fruit to come, and you can share and you can dream and you can enjoy your life. But always remember one thing, when you start a business, you never stop. You keep thinking. So this is an industry, you're getting into it. So if you want to see an easy life, well, I think a business is something. It's like the drugs you're going to take, and we continue before you go to the bed. Still think what's going to happen tomorrow morning when I'm meeting the team.
I arrived in Australia a few years back, and I kept saw these pictures going around with this man's face on it. It said, Jim's this, Jim's that. And I was like, who is this guy? And then, what was it? Not quite a year ago now, that somebody came to me, Scott came to me and said, hey, you need to check out Jim's Trade Net. I'm like, yeah, okay, there it is. And then I sat down and talked with Paul, learned about the company, and thought it was a fantastic company. And then started working for them, and then in January, I actually ended up meeting Jim. It was a great, you see these pictures all around of this man, and you're like, who is this guy? And you meet them. He's a fantastic gentleman to talk to. He's got a great story. If you haven't read his book, you really should. But Jim has built a company from $24 up to what it is now. It's one of the largest franchise organizations in all of Australia. And if anybody knows how to tell you about how to run and create good business, it would be Jim Penman. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Jim Penman.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me up the back there? Okay. You know it's a lesson that you learn when you're public speaking. You've got to find this out at the beginning. Once when I first started giving talks, I didn't ask the question until about halfway through because I had a feeling people up the back couldn't hear me. And somebody actually stood up and said, you know, I can't hear you. And somebody right in the middle of the front row stood up and said, good, I'll swap. See, you want to know what makes a person successful in business. And a lot of people think you've got to be a really capable, hard-working, skilled sort of person. And I have to say, in most ways, I am not like that at all. I am, in most areas, completely incompetent. I have extremely poor social skills. I have trouble remembering faces as well as names. I am naturally very lazy. I have a bad temper. I have no head for detail. And if my wife was here, she would give you a whole lot more things why I should never be successful. And you ask, well, here's this guy, he's this total idiot, he doesn't know how to do anything. How could he have any kind of success? And I've done many, many, many stupid and wrong things in my life, and I can't tell you how many. If you read my book, you'll actually see a whole litany of mistakes that I made. But one thing I've always had is an absolute passion for my customers. Now people ask me how long have you been in business for? Well, 1982 is one figure because they found I was broke. But I've actually been gardening since I was 8 years old. And I was doing some work for my neighbour across the back fence, a guy called Mr. Tapley, who seems a very old man. He's probably a lot younger than I am now. And I used to go and I used to rake his driveway, and I got 2 shillings for about an hour's work. Well, that's 2 shillings you could buy a nice block of chocolate in those days, so that was pretty good. But I remember one time when Mr. Tapley wanted me to take some rubbish to the incinerator in the backyard. It wasn't much of a job to do, just needed that done. And on the way, I dropped some pieces along the pathway. And he looked at me very sadly, and this is a guy who never ever raised his voice. He just looked at me and he said, if you're going to do it like that, I might as well do it myself. And I felt just remembering even that time, which is 56 years ago, I remember feeling so ashamed and so determined that I was never ever going to let him down. And so I started off, and look, I didn't intend to be a mowing guru or a businessman or anything. I wanted to be an academic. I spent 10 years at university getting myself a PhD in history of all things. And of course, what do you do with a PhD in history? Well, of course you mow lawns for a living. And I did that, and it was my student job. Because I used to get outside. I like gardens. It's one of the things too, you've got to do something you enjoy. I like gardens, I like trees, I like being outside, I like being physically active. So it was a good job. You studied during the week, go mow lawns at the weekend. And it was good. And you know, I had other reasons too. Why did I get going and mowing? It was because I thought if I had a car, I could impress girls. And so I decided to get a car, and I started mowing lawns for a lawnmower just to pay for it. It didn't actually work very well where the girls were concerned, but it got me into business. And so when I finished my PhD, I was flat broke and $30,000 in debt. When I say $24, I've got to say minus $30,000 plus $24. That was my asset. What are the assets? So I was getting mixed up with this stuff. I'm not very good at finance. Sorry about that. I'm learning a lot. But anyway, so I had this huge debt, and I got $20 worth of instant printing and $4 for letraset. You know what letraset is? Most of us rolled up. The stuff you print on the, you can make leaflets out of it anyway. So I had 24 bucks, and I put leaflets where I lived. This was just before Christmas 1982, and I had a really, really good start because I was starting a mowing business, no capital, deeply in debt, and suddenly the worst drought in Melbourne history died, and history came along, and every lawn in Melbourne died. Good start. Dog gets under the house, and choose through the phone line. That's a real good start. So no calls were coming in. And then, just a couple of weeks after starting my business, all my equipment died. I had a very old mower and brush cutter. That was all I had left. And I completely gave up the ghost. But here I am, new business, no capital, deeply in debt, got no money. I have to get equipment. And I went to see, there was only one place open, it was just after Christmas. And I went to see somebody who had a mower shop open. It was a fair distance away. And I went in there, it was very busy. And I went in and I got the price on the equipment. Without that I had nothing. And then he gave me the prices and he added them up and he gave me the figure, how much, and I paid it. And I walked out of the shop and then I realised, looking at this bit of paper, that he'd added them up wrong. He'd actually put $100 too little on the price. So I thought, well, I need this money, that's my big fortune, all right? And I went back, I drove all the way back to my first job, and I got the mower and the brush cutter, I put them on the nature strip, and I thought, God doesn't want me to do this. This is not right. I don't know how on earth I can find this money anyway, but I can't do this. And I actually put the stuff back on the trailer, drove back and walked into the shop and gave them a check for $100. And that was one of the scariest things I ever did, because I had no idea where I was going to get the money from. That same afternoon, I was doing a job for somebody who happened to be in the business of selling office equipment. Now, I did not ask him anything. I did not make a suggestion. Out of the blue, this guy said to me, look, I want to do some leaflet printing for you. Not only did he offer, but he also told me exactly what he would do for me. He gave me the figure. I didn't ask. And I worked it out and it was exactly $100 value. I have never, before or since, ever had such an experience that was absolutely precise. And I just knew somebody was looking out for me. And I also knew that doing the right thing, even when it seems impossible to understand how it could possibly benefit you, is how my business had to be based. So I started out, and look, I made a lot of stupid mistakes, as I said. One thing I recognise now is I charge people too little, because I used to get 100% of my quotes were accepted. People used to give me extra money. Now, I should have been a clue. I could have charged more. And we actually teach our franchisees this. We teach them not to get all their quotes, because if you're getting all your quotes accepted, you're too cheap, and that's not the best way to run a business. We don't believe in cheap as chips and juice. So I made a lot of dumb mistakes, but the one asset I had was I had an absolute passion for customers. To me, you talk about emotion in business. I have a very emotional attitude towards business. To me, it's horrifying to let a client down. That's something that upsets me. I remember once, many years ago, I actually forgot a couple of clients, missed them from my diary, and I didn't do them. And I felt a real shame and shock. It wasn't a financial thing, it was an emotional thing. For me, for a client to be let down was horrifying. And I used to be really scrupulous. I was one of the first contractors in Australia to have a brush cutter, because I always wanted the edges just that much better. And I had to have the lawn be completely immaculate. And I can remember clients saying to me, I have never known my lawn to look this good. And that was what I wanted. That was what I was going for. Everything had to be perfect. I wanted to look at delight on their face. Like I said, not for financial reasons. I really didn't think about it. I just had to do a great job. And for all the mistakes I made, that was one thing that I did right from the start. And it was an emotional, instinctive thing, you might say. And I started to get better. It started to succeed. And I'm the kind of person too, I like to do things well, and I like to always look at what I do and try to do them better. You know, when I was mowing the lawns, I was always looking for the way to shortcut. How can I get down a tree a half second quicker? Do a great job, do it faster. Where can I put the grass dump so I can save myself one pace? How can I do a perfect edge in the minimum time? So always, every day, every hour, thinking, how can I do this better? How can I do a better job? How can I do it quicker? And I got to be pretty good. And the thing was, because my job was so good, I kept on picking up customers. Even during the drought, more customers. I found it incredibly easy, because I go to a once-off job, and the people that love the job, and they come back regularly, and the neighbours would get me in, and they refer me to friends. I was very, very good at picking up customers. And the next stage actually happened when I when I said I finished my PhD, I didn't even finish it. I actually got knocked back, and they gave me the opportunity to go and do it again. And I thought, well, after all this time, I might as well get this bloody thing I've worked 10 years for, even there's no economic sense to it. And, but to do that, I was so busy mowing lawns, I had to actually unload my business. So what I did was I advertised my lawn mowing ground for sale in the paper. And somebody came and was interested in it, and they were talking about it. It went a few days, a few weeks went by. And all this time I was picking up more customers, and then when they actually came to take the business over, I was still working flat out. I actually did this 3 times. Each time I built the business up, got it ready to sell, and then by the time it was sold, I had more customers. And then eventually I managed to get on and finish it, and I got my PhD. So you can call me Dr. Jim if you like. Very few people do. But I realised there was more money to be made from selling lawn mowing grounds than there was in actually mowing lawns, because I was good at picking up customers. So I decided to launch a business selling lawn mowing grounds. And a really great difficulty came because the problem among my many failures, I'm a really awful at selling. I was absolutely painfully bad at it. I was so bad I had to employ a professional salesman to sell my lawn mowing grounds. While I was in the same room, it was stupid, and I felt so unconfident. And then I learned to sell lawn mowing grounds. I learned it not just in a day, but an actual minute when I figured out, listen, and this one I'm going to tell you now, this story is the key to my entire business career. You want to know why Jim's franchising works, and why this little lawn mowing business has become Australia's largest. It is the largest, by the way, not one of the largest. We are the biggest franchising chain in Australia. It comes from this particular story. And this might take you as bizarre, what happened, but I want to tell you, I went to see somebody in my church who was in the business of advertising. And this was a highly successful guy, and I was this fairly decrepit mowing contractor with an unbelievably bad car, just struggling by. And I went to see this guy, and he spent half an hour telling me about the advertising industry, where to advertise, how to advertise. And at the end of the time, he said to me, Jim, you don't need an advertising agency, you need to do what I told you, this is how you can advertise, but you don't need me. So he spent half an hour of his time getting himself absolutely no advantage at all. But I knew that if I ever needed an advertising agent, I would go straight back to this guy. Now, I didn't know anything about his business. That's what the interesting thing is. I didn't know anything about his business. I didn't know what he charged. I didn't know anything about his previous clients. But I knew that if I ever needed an agency, I would use him, and I wouldn't even go to the competitor. And I was walking away, the car was parked a few blocks away, and I was thinking about this. Remember, I was working at how do you sell? I'm lousy at selling how do you sell. And yet this guy, without any effort, had completely sold me on his business. And as I walked, I was thinking about this, and I thought, all he's done, in the time I went to see him, the only concern he had was my success and the success of my business. And by doing that, he completely sold me on his business. And I can just remember reaching out to the doorway of my car, which was an incredibly decrepit Kingswood, vented, dirty, with the back seat ripped out from us. You wouldn't believe how bad it was. I kept on worrying they'd tow it away as a derelict. I remember reaching out the handle of this car, and I saw what it means. Now, in the advertisements, they always said so much a cut. And a cut, you get your job done once. And everybody in the industry knew what that meant, but people who were looking typically didn't know. So I explained to him, and then I started talking about the business, and giving him advice, and talking about advertising, and talking about the principle and equipment to use, everything I knew about, and the same thing when he came to see me. That's all I did. At the end of it, I just said, look, I've got a few clients in your area. This is the details. That was my entire sales pitch. Shortly afterwards, one of these people came to see me. He rang me, who'd been to see me, rang me up and said, Jim, I've been offered a business in my area, and I want you to advise me which is the better business, that one or yours. And this is a really strange question to ask if you think about it. Because if I give him the answer that the other one's better, I've lost the sale. But I thought, well, it's got to be real. So I just asked him questions. I said, where are the customers? How many? What's the cut? How long has he had it for? Why is he selling? Pretty obvious questions that anybody in business know how to ask. And the end of it, I said to him, that's a better business, buy that one. And I got asked the same question 3 times in a row, and each time I gave the business away. And you know what happened? Every single one of those guys bought from me. And from the minute I started that approach, I never ever had any problem selling lawnmower grabs. And this lousy, pathetic salesperson suddenly became hugely successful. And I used the people that I bought around off me. I would do everything possible to look after them after the sale, give them support, advice, everything. And I put their little name on a card. White, black text on a white card, stuck it up with the phone number, stuck it up behind me. If anybody wants to in the business, I'd say, do that. And that was my sales pitch. And later on, I started franchising. And my franchising system had exactly the same idea. I thought, what can I do to make every one of my franchisees a raving fan? What can I offer them? What can I do? That was my whole focus. Now, I had no idea. At that time, I was trying to resist the onslaught of a competitor that had 250 franchisees. And they were huge and they frightened me. All I wanted to do was to try and survive against them. And somebody asked me, they said, if you're really successful, how many do you think you might have one day? And I said, one day, if it really works out, I could have as many as 100 franchisees. I had no great plans. I had nothing. I just wanted to survive. We've got 3,540. That's out of date, that thing. And it just keeps on growing and growing and growing. And that is the whole principle of Jim's Group. It's passion about franchisees. If you think about it, a franchisee is a client. Now, where does TradeNet fit into this? Well, I'll tell you what, I've been involved in trade exchanges for some while. And I've been a member of a couple of them. And when I was doing that, I found there were a lot of problems with it. It was hard, it was expensive fees, it was hard to spend, people got stuck with too many trade dollars got devalued, all kinds of issues like that. And the vision I had, and this was some years back, I said, I'm going to create a trade exchange which has none of these problems. And our whole focus is going to be to make every trader a raving fan. This was the vision. We spent a year and a half writing the software initially, more time getting ready. And I made sure I had the capital to do it. But that was the vision. And that is exactly what TradeNet is. It's exactly the same principle I had when I was mowing lawns. It's the same principle as I had selling franchises. It's looking at the thing from the point of view not of the business, but of the person that you're dealing with, the trader. And we have it on in our room down there. Every trader a raving fan. Now I have to tell you, it's exciting to see because I reckon Jim's TradeNet is potentially the best business idea I've ever had. I reckon this business one day could be Australia's answer to Uber. Something could go worldwide. Because it's got everything. It's got, but most of all, it's got this view that you put the traders first. And Paul, anybody will tell you, when I come down to meetings, what I talk about all the time, put the traders first, not the exchange. That's why we say upper limit. Why do we say put an upper limit? Because if you take more trade dollars you can comfortably spend, we'll benefit in the short term, but you will not. And we will not allow people to make a decision that's not in their interest. So that's what I've got to say today. It's great to see you here. It's wonderful to see so many members of the Indian community and your support for us. But I really, truly believe this is the greatest idea, the greatest business we've ever done. And this is going to be the breakout. Jim's is successful to this stage, but I reckon with TradeNet, it's the one idea that's going to make us absolutely super successful on the world stage. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much. I hope everybody got a bit of knowledge, and Jim shared his experience, obviously, about his life story. Quite knowledgeable, I guess. 1982, my God, that was a long, long time back. I was not even born. 10 years ago, when I came to Australia, I used to see the vans and the different types of motor vehicles, you know, with Jim's face. I'm not sure, not this Jim, but obviously there was a face with the hats and beards on. I always used to think, there must be a man behind this. There must be someone called Jim, and now I can go back and tell my family, I've met this person. So Thank you so much, Jim, for coming here tonight. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for your attention. I hope you're enjoying the food right now. I would actually like to invite Swami, the Nbays IT solution owner, and he also actually runs a Darshan driving school, which covers the entire Melbourne with female and male instructors. I would like to invite Jim here again because we'd like to give a token of appreciation. Can we have a big round of applause, please? Thank you, Jim. And for everyone here tonight, you will have the forms on your table. You can register for Jim's TradeNet if you haven't registered yet. And obviously, if you need some more information, you have Paul here, you have Dave here, and you have various different TradeNet members that you can get some more information from. Once you have filled out all the forms, you can return them to Kausalya and Santosh. You will have the volunteers here. Also, with the Gym Straight, I think we got a folder everyone here tonight. For anyone who's registering tonight, you will get a $100 voucher from Gym Straightnet and also a $100 voucher from Nbays IT Solution. Don't delay it. You might need some more information. You can Google it right now. You have people that you can speak to. And now I would like to thank Nbays Khan for coming here tonight. I'd like to invite you here and we'd like to give you a token of appreciation. Can we have a round of applause, please? We would also like to thank Chinmay Anand. Thank you. Would you like to come here, please? Yeah, we'll take a photo, so you better look handsome. Thank you, Chinmay. Thank you, Swami. And now I'd like to call Paul here, please. Thank you, Paul, for coming here tonight. Can we have another round of applause, please? We would also like to thank Dave. Dave, could you come here, please? I'm sorry I've bothered you a lot tonight. Thank you, Dave. We would like to thank all our speakers here, every one of you who's paid attention. And now, before we end the night and everyone finishes their food, we will have another big act, another Bollywood number, because we like to finish in style and Bollywood again. So can we have a big round of applause again? brilliant performance in all the three performances tonight. We thank you so much.